Greetings and welcome to Jazzology, presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. He's giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Matt, name the tenor sax player known as the middleweight champion. Would that be A, Joe Henderson, B, Hank Mobley, C, Benny Golson, D, Sonny Stitt, or E, Wayne Shorter? And we know who's known as the heavyweight champion.
Right. That would be Train.
Right.
So, when you asked this question, immediately the name Hank Mobley rang to mind, and I don't remember who wrote that. But then again, when you said Joe Henderson, I kind of had kind of a second guess situation. And so I don't think of Benny Golson as Benny Golson's a bad dude, but I don't consider him he's more known as a composer. He's known as a film composer and writer of Along Came Betty and other songs. I don't think it's Wayne. I don't think it's Sonny. I think my immediate gut reaction is Hank Mobley, so I'm going to go with that.
Indeed. And there's a whole Hank Mobley fan club Facebook page talking about the middleweight champion. So that is correct. Hank Mobley was known as the middleweight champion. What jazz great was nicknamed Little Jazz? Was it A, Jimmy Scott, B, Jimmy Heath, C, Fletcher Henderson, D, Roy Eldridge, or E, Chick Webb?
Wow. So you put in a few ringers there, some people that are small in stature, like Jimmy Scott and Jimmy Heath, and Chick Webb. I don't know about Fletcher Henderson. I don't know what his height was. I don't think that he was short necessarily. I could be wrong. But I happen to know this because I'm a big fan of his, and I even have a picture of his right over my bed. Yeah, so the answer is D, Roy Eldridge.
That is correct. Roy Eldridge was known as Little Jazz. And of course, Jimmy Scott was also known as Little Jimmy Scott. But Roy Eldridge was Little Jazz. Sandy, pianist Sonny Clark was born with which of the following first names? Was Sonny Clark born A, Francis Clark, B, Theodore Clark, C, Huey Clark, D, Conrad Clark, or E, Percival Clark?
I have absolutely no idea, but I'm going to go with A, Francis Clark.
That is incorrect. Enzo with an opportunity to steal.
It's quite tough, this one, huh?
All right, Enzo. The pianist Sonny Clark was born with which of the following first names? And A, Francis Clark, has been eliminated. So would it be B, Theodore Clark, C, Huey Clark, D, Conrad Clark, or E, Percival Clark?
Well, I remember once that I read, yes, Conrad Clark. Conrad.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Sonny Clark was born Conrad Clark, so Enzo steals the point. Matt, whose group was originally named the Barons of Rhythm? Would that have been A, Duke Ellington, B, Count Basie, C, the Jazz Messengers, D, the Jazz Crusaders,
or E, Woody Herman?
Wow. I feel like this is way beyond my scope. But I'm just the period where the words like barons would have been kind of used in popular parlance. I feel like, if we're looking historically at these groups, Ellington obviously comes first, Basie comes second, Woody Herman comes third, the Messengers come fourth, and Jazz Crusaders come fifth. So to me, it's got to be somewhere between. Although, honestly, I don't know. Woody Herman was probably born before Count Basie, so or they were kind of right in the same age group. I mean, Woody Herman was a vaudeville performer. Barons of Rhythm. For me, it's somewhere between Duke Ellington and Woody Herman. Only because my high school alma mater was the Batlin Barons, and Duke Ellington, and I'm from the DC area, and Duke Ellington was from DC. I'm going to go with A, Duke Ellington.
That is incorrect. And Ted Pankin with an opportunity to steal the question. Ted, whose group was originally named the Barons of Rhythm? A, Duke Ellington has been eliminated. So was it B, Count Basie? C, the Jazz Messengers? D, the Jazz Crusaders? Or E, Woody Herman?
Well, that's another tough question. So we know it's not Basie, and it's not. I'm quite sure it's not Basie, and I'm quite sure it's not the Jazz Messengers. So I could be wrong, but that leaves the Jazz Crusaders and Woody Herman. Because the Basie band emerged out of the Benny Moten band, which emerged out of Walter Page's, Oklahoma City, the Blue Devils. And the Jazz Messengers started as a 17-piece big band in New York. And I don't think Art Blakey called them the Barons of Rhythm. That maybe he did. Charles Mingus called himself Baron Mingus during that time. So it was in parlance during the 40s. Or early 40s, but I don't think it was the Jazz Messengers. It could be proven wrong. So that leaves the Jazz Crusaders and Woody Herman. I'm going to go with D, the Jazz Crusaders, because I just can't quite apply that name to a band that Woody Herman would have led. But the Jazz Crusaders is only an educated or maybe not so educated guess.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is that the artist whose group originally named the Barons of Rhythm was B, Count Basie. What was the bebop era bassist known as Curly Russell? What was his given name? Was it A, William Russell, B, Nelson Russell, C, Dylan Russell, D, Teddy Russell, or E, Eugene Russell?
Oh my God.
I mean, this is an amazing question.
This is crazy.
That's deep in the weeds, man. That's deep in the weeds.
Okay. Curly Russell. Curly. I'm trying to think of Curly. What could Curly be? But I mean, that just could be for his hair. It could be some silly joke.
Just got to pick one, Matt.
Yeah. I'm going to go with B, Nelson Russell.
That is incorrect. And Ethan will have an opportunity to steal the point.
I got this.
What was the bebop era bassist Curly Russell's given name? Was it A, William Russell? B, Nelson Russell has been eliminated. C, Dylan Russell. D, Teddy Russell. Or E, Eugene Russell.
Well, however you did this, Willard, it's pretty good. Also, of course, Nelson Boyd, nice bebop bassist. Teddy Kotick, great bebop bassist. Eugene Wright, the Brubeck bassist. Dylan and William, well, which one's? Yeah, I sort of feel it's William. I think I felt like a long time ago, I once saw William Curly Russell. That's my answer, A.
The correct answer is that Curly Russell's given name was C, Dylan Russell.
You learn something every day.
I don't think even Mark Stryker knows that. I would be shocked.
It's good to know. Dylan Russell.
Okay, Ted, you're up next. Ted, which of the following jazz musicians was born John Haley? Was it A, Chico Hamilton, B, Doc Cheatham, C, Zoot Sims, D, Pepper Adams, or E, Slim Gaillard?
Okay. Thought process. Chico Hamilton's given first name was, I believe, Forrestal or Forrest Thorne or something along those lines. I could be mangling that up. Doc Cheatham's first name was Adolphus, I think. Pepper Adams was Park. I don't know Slim Gaillard's first name, but I do know that Zoot Sims, C, was John Haley Sims.
That is correct. Zoot Sims was born John Haley. Scott, what is the stage name used by the great jazz singer who was born Lily Mae Jones? Was it A, Ernestine Anderson, B, Betty Carter, C, Dinah Washington, D is Dakota Staten, and E, June Christie?
Lily Mae Jones. Not sure about this one at all. So just going to have to wing it. I think Betty Carter was her given name.
I'm sorry.
No, that was not a guess. That was sorry, just kind of sounding it out. I'll just jump in with C, Dinah Washington.
Nope, that's incorrect. And Matt with an opportunity to steal the point. Matt, what is the stage name used by the great jazz singer who was born Lily Mae Jones? Was it A, Ernestine Anderson, B, Betty Carter, C, Dinah Washington has been eliminated, and we have a letter D, and that letter D is Dakota Staten, and E, June Christie?
Okay, so D would be Dakota Staten, huh?
Yes, sir.
Ernestine Anderson, Eddie Carter. I feel like I know this. I can't. And you said Dinah was eliminated, correct?
Correct.
Oh boy. I am gonna go with Dakota Staten, D.
That is incorrect. The correct answer to that question is the singer born Lily Mae Jones was B, Betty Carter. You had that, Scott. That was on the tip of your
man. It sounded like it. But I was ruling her out. All right. I'm going to need that bonus question.
Name the famous band leader and composer who for a short time adopted the stage and recording name Baron in the spirit of the Duke and the Count?
Uh-huh.
Would that have been A, Charles Mingus, B, Gerald Wilson, C, Jimmy Lunsford, D, Buddy Rich, or E, Fletcher Henderson?
Well, I am familiar with all of the artists, but I'm pretty sure it's someone who I've talked with and had the opportunity to have a conversation with, smoking a cigar and drinking Donald Duck juice, and I have to go with Charles Mingus.
There you go. That is correct. At one point, a bit earlier in his career, Charles Mingus adopted the moniker Baron, the same tradition as the Duke and the Count of band leaders. What jazz club was nicknamed the Metropolitan Opera House by jazz radio DJ Symphony Sid? Was that A, the Royal Roost, B, the Onyx Club, C, Birdland, D, Minton's Playhouse, or E, the Three Deuces?
Well, boy, I'm going to eliminate it immediately down to the Royal Roost and Birdland, because those are the two clubs that I know that Symphony Sid regularly broadcast from. And both of them were great bebop venues, which makes it tough. The big difference between them was that the Royal Roost ultimately failed, and Birdland, I guess you would say it failed, but there's still a Birdland in New York to this day. So I think, the other difference is that Birdland was the more famous club. So I think I'm going to go with C, Birdland.
That is incorrect. And that means that Matt Merowitz is our continuing champion, because the correct answer to that question, as in what jazz club was nicknamed the Metropolitan Opera House by Symphony Sid, the correct answer was A, the Royal Roost. You boiled it down to the two best choices when you boiled it down to the Royal Roost and Birdland. But it was indeed the Royal Roost that he nicknamed the Metropolitan Opera House. What saxophonist recorded under the pseudonym Buckshot LaFunk? Was that A, Charlie Parker, B, Branford Marsalis, C, Cannonball Adderley, D, Ronnie Laws, or E, Von Freeman?
If it was Bird, I'd hear about it. And if it was Cannonball, I'd probably hear about it. Branford, that kind of jives with some sense of humor I've seen sort of coursing through some of his work. Ronnie Laws and Von Freeman I'm not familiar with. Only surface level. So I'm going to take a wild guess and go with Ronnie Laws.
That is incorrect. Matt with an opportunity to steal the point.
So,
let me repeat the question.
Yeah, all right.
What saxophonist recorded under the pseudonym Buckshot LaFunk? Was that A, Charlie Parker, B, Branford Marsalis, C, Cannonball Adderley, D, Ronnie Laws has been eliminated, or E, Von Freeman?
So this is a trick question. And Willard, you are extremely devious for posing this question. Definitely not Bird. Definitely not Von Freeman. So here's the deal. Branford Marsalis had a band called Buckshot LaFunk, or a project that was like him and Joey Calderazzo and Russell Gunn and like all these people, Reggie Washington. I think that percussion player used to play with Jerry Allen, with the foreign French name. Can't remember. But Cannonball also called himself Buckshot LaFunk due to some like need to appear under another name on a recording. And I was always under the impression that Branford took that kind of reference and applied it to this group. But I would have, my initial, and I think he might have spelled it a little differently, right? So it was like more like a French spelling, like Fonque or something. But anyway, I think the technicality here is with the spelling and with the fact that it was, I don't know. This is hard, and I feel like I'm going to get zinged either way, so I'm just going with Cannonball.
Actually, you are indeed correct. And you had the trick part of the question down. You mentioned it. And that is the fact that when Cannonball recorded under that pseudonym, he spelled funk, Funke. Whereas, as you suggested, Branford spelled it Fonque as far as that band and that record he made. So you are correct. It was indeed Cannonball, Julian Cannonball Adderley, who once used that pseudonym. We encourage everyone to try your hand and play Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older.
And be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates.
And if you missed the show live, you can find the archives on the Savage Content YouTube channel. And we will catch you all the next